Hi, everybody. This is Kristy Lammers with Lammers Ag, and we are coming to you from Lammers Ag today as we're talking on another episode of Rooted in Results. And this year, this session, I thought possibly, maybe a mid-season update on everything we've been doing, not everything, but what we've been doing and seeing in the fields, and just some new things that have happened around the office here in the last month. So I want to take the moment to introduce Hailey Hughes. And Hailey is our new full-time agricultural research scientist, which kind of sounds like a different title. I think, when you think about a seed dealership, but we are so data-driven here at Lammers Ag that it just really felt like that was the right place to go, to be able to have somebody that was as passionate as myself and Hailey Baker going out and getting all the data and just being able to kind of bring everything together and do some different trials and have a great way and one contact person to be able to present that to our customers. So Hailey, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And it's only been about a month or a little over, but we've done a lot of things already.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Hailey Hughes. I'm new here at Lammers Ag and I'm loving it so far. A little bit about myself is I have two boys, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and a husband who lets me do all these crazy things. And so that's very exciting. And yeah, so that's my family. And a little bit about my education. Well, I should say that I'm an Parkersburg, Iowa native. So I graduated high school from Appleton, Parkersburg. And my master's degree is in progress through Iowa State in ecology and evolution. And then my bachelor's degree is in biology with kind of an emphasis in ecology, evolution, and organismal diversity. And I got that from the University of Northern Iowa. I graduated from there in May of 2022. Within all of that and my experience in the education realm, my research experience specifically, my first lab was in a microbiology molecular lab. We were working on identifying various soil nitrogen fixing archaea, which is like there's 3 domains of life, and one of them is bacteria, one of them is archaea. In archaea, they're much like bacteria, but they're slightly different and they're different genetically. So anyways, and then I got an undergraduate research fellowship with NASA, and I documented pollinators and their unique morphological traits through macrophotography. And then I went down to Oklahoma State University and was a research tech down there for a while. I was in a natural resource ecology and management lab. We were assessing prairie dog colony treatments on harvester ant colony health. And we also investigated virtual fence practices in cattle operations on pollinator habitat. And then most recently, I came from a chemical ecology lab, and we looked at floral microbes and how they interact with pollinators. And while I was there, I developed a novel method with monarch butterflies and preference and things like that. So that was very exciting. And then that all led me here to Lammers Ag. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been looking to have somebody that had that same kind of passion as myself, and again Hailey Baker, just because I know we're just a dealership that really believes in being out in the field and digging in the dirt and really helping our farmers with whatever we find out there. If it's trials, obviously channel our seed and what soils that thrives in and different things that we see. But I'm just so happy to have you, Hailey. The little bit of time that you've been here already has just been really eye-opening for me. I always knew that we're out in the fields a lot, but when you put numbers to things and you start having somebody else look at it, it's just really exciting what we're all doing here at Lammers Ag. So I'm going to let Hailey kind of talk about what she's been doing here in this last month. We've got some different scouting. I got some interns this summer, and Hailey's can tell you a little bit about some of that stuff.
Yeah, so I'll move on to the next slide here too. I have been kind of overseeing the scouting this year, and that's been good. It's been a learning process. And so, like Kristy said, we have the 2 interns and then Hailey Baker in the field. So we do a huddle every morning and kind of decide where we're going to go, if there's any problem fields, things that we need to look into. If there's a grower that's contacted us, we'll make sure to hit those fields up and kind of go through priority as to where we're going to go and what we're going to do. So far this year, the girls have been doing stand counts and things like that. And then come this week, pending the weather, we will be moving into doing root digs and floating larvae and things like that. So yes, on every Monday or every morning we do a huddle, the girls go out, and then I sometimes go out along with Kristy. A lot of times we are out with the leaf tech, which we can get more into what that is in just a little bit. And so on Mondays specifically, Mondays and Tuesdays, really, I send out a custom crop report. Most of them look something similar to what you see there on the screen. And then it basically compiles all of our information, the hybrid type, the stand count, what stage the corn was at. So it gives the grower a nice look at what their field looks like and what's going on. If there's any problems, we document that, specifically weeds, gaps. We dig in the rows if we see gaps, things like that. And then with the leaf tech data also, this is just an example. This will probably change as we work with Leaf Tech to come up with some different figures that I know are available to us. But we can look at different fields and we can see the nutrient content within those leaves and things like that. So this is just an example of something that I have sent to a grower more recently.
I don't know if you're getting into this on the next slide, but are we okay? Scouting update. There you go. That was my question to you. So I know that, obviously, again, it's one of those things that for me, it's the passion of what Lammers Ag is all about. And actually I had the girls start saying data, hashtag data driven, because, without us being out there, myself and just all of the interns, Hailey, and now our new Hailey Hughes, myself, could never do what I do to recommend products and have success in the fields, like we have historically had here at this dealership. So it's just been really fun again to be able to see the numbers. So you go ahead and talk with them a little bit about, what does some of this stuff mean? What does grower engaged mean? And give them a little bit more on what those are.
Yeah. So we've gone to over 150 fields. This is just from when I basically started here at Lammers Ag. And within that, so within a field, they go and we use a scouting app right now. We use Climate as of right now. And they go and make little pins across the field. We try to get a really wholesome view of the field, especially right now, while we can get to all the corners of the field and things like that. And so they're doing that. And so within the fields, then we have over 700 observations that we have just made, essentially. So those are what the pins are. Observations equals pins. And then 43 growers engaged. So weekly, we're averaging about 15 different growers that we're going to. And so over the course of this time, that's our rough number of growers that we have been in contact with, visited their fields, gone out and investigated some issues, things like that. And then over the course of the last week, Kristy and I have really been hitting the leaf tech samples hard. And so we have about 237 samples just from last week. So that's a lot. And that's something that's really awesome about the leaf tech that we can get into here really soon, which I think the leaf tech brings something so new to this area and to Lammers Ag specifically and to our growers, because it just really, I think, will help with the sustainable agriculture side of what we do here and what I'm also very passionate about. And I know Kristy is as well.
Yes. I mean, it's like I said, the observations, I think that's so good to explain that, because we, obviously don't go in and just do one check and we're out. Also, I can attest to when we had some early planting done this year and gotten some of the moisture and some of the temperatures that we did, that along with our channel agronomist, Paul, he had identified some dates of crusting. And I know if you follow me on Snapchat, Lammers Ag 1, or it was on Facebook, different things like that. We do social media, but Snapchat for us is really the I would say the live updated. When we're in the fields, you can catch what's happening. So I did some snaps on that because it was crusting in a certain zone and in our area, and that's really mainly where a lot of our replants had taken place. So, you know, things being out in the field, and I worked with another customer that's new for us that really wasn't. I sold him some of our channel soybeans, and I was a little concerned about the stand count, not knowing really what he had planted at. I just went out into the field. I knew where it was at, and wanted to just make sure, you know, we were performing. Was a little concerned. Like I said, it was a 60-acre field, 65-acre field. I ended up doing 10 different checks, dug in, actually called him, asked if there was a farm that was close to that farm that our product was on, and there was a couple miles away. It was a competitive product, but saw the same stand and same issues on that farm as well. So, you know, I think it's really good for us to be out there informing customers what we're seeing. And it's also really great for me to know where we're at as far as, number one, channel in our area, and number two, you know, how are we versus competition? And, you know, we look at that. You know, I know Hailey will attest that as well, but it's not just looking at channel. And I'm sure many other people do that as well. But we put our products up against, others in the field and make sure that we're performing.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's on the next. Yeah. So following into that is we have our 2025 projects that are kind of going on here. And like Kristy said, we are looking at channel versus competitor to confirm the quality of our product and kind of just see where we are along the wide spectrum of other brands and things like that. Along with all of that, with the leaf tech specifically, this is like a super cutting edge technology that provides like in-field leaf tissue analysis. It allows for quick and targeted management decisions made by the grower. This device uses light absorption and reflection to determine the leaf's spectral signature. So basically we clamp a leaf in the leaf tech and in between two light beds, and it does its thing, and then it calculates nutrient values from just in like minutes. Basically, it has to go up to the cloud and comes back down. And so then we also are able to, within the app, adjust for the stage of corn or the stage of beans that we're in. So that way that accounts for the varying nutritional values that we see across the season. And so with this, because it is a new technology, and we just want to make sure that we're getting the growers the right information, we have chosen 6 fields across Butler County and across 3 different growers, and they all have varying management strategies. So our control field will be one that's only been applied with manure. And then when we're out there, the plants that we sample, we mark, and then we mark the leaf that was scanned. And so weekly scans will be made on these specific fields and the plants within them. Each week as they grow, we will be measuring the subsequent leaves after that. And this will help us gain more knowledge of throughout season accuracy of the scanner, along with the different nutritional needs within those fields. So those are going to be kind of our set ones. And then if we have a grower that comes to us with problems or things like that, we'll go out, scan, and then we'll also send those like the problem field specifically, or just any extra field that's not in this trial. We will go ahead and send those plants to Leaf Tech, and they will send them to 3 different labs. And so that will give us a pretty wholesome view kind of what's going on. And it'll also help us to compare different labs to our scanner to ensure that accuracy, to make sure we are giving out accurate data. That's Leaf Tech is super, they want to make sure the information you're getting is correct. And so therefore that's where, yeah, I think they're doing it pretty well. Anyways, and then we can also send soil samples. And so we will be doing that along with the tissue samples that we send in. Yeah, so we're going to ensure the accuracy, and then also at the end of the year, I would like to see how throughout season health is relative or in relation to yield. I'd be interested to see how that kind of turns out. And if there's a threshold there, you know, if you have a corn plant that looks not horrible, but not great, to see if it still yields as good as the super green plant, and what kind of that mark is of where nope, no longer is going to have a good yield. And then I'm also going to be looking at different nitrogen strategies. We have quite a few farmers that have pivot. What else do we have? People who used like a lot of microbial nitrogen treatments and things like that, along with urine hydrous and things like that, more traditional applications. So we're going to be looking at, yield across various growers, various management strategies, and various field types.
No, which I think is always important because, you know, for me, it's when I talk with our growers, it's what makes the most sense, you know, for ROI. And we can be bombarded with all of the products that are out there, you know, as everything comes on new and, you know, traditional, what I would say traditional commercial, but even more so in the microbial and microbe arena, there's a ton of things out there. So, you know, we've done some trials in the past that have gained some insight to where we're doing this year. Some things didn't work. Some things I just said, you know, this isn't feasible for our operators to spend per acre and not get a return. I do think that when we talk about the Leaf Tech, going back to that again, I thought it was also really interesting that it measures the water content. You can probably talk about that a little bit, but you know, the fact that once it gets to, I think it was 70, Hailey, right? That, you know, there's no sense of even applying because it's, you know, at that point, there's nothing that's going to really make a difference on being able to try to gain either plant health or yield at that point. So I think the Leaf Tech thing is it's cutting edge, like you said. What we're trying to figure out here is based on the timing of when we spray, you know, and this is why I talked with Hailey about, you know, a lot, because her and I've kind of taken these two, we have two tools here at Lammers Ag. She has one and I do. And, you know, what we talk about a lot is knowing the timing of when we're spraying corn and soybeans. What are we looking for? How can that help a customer? Can they go back? Is it worth going back at some point when we're still able to spray or be able to add things to a pass in the field that will either, you know, obviously ultimately you want to gain yield to gain return on investment, but you know, there could be other issues going on in just due to the weather conditions that, you know, we might have to take a look at things. So it's amazing how this measures, you know, example, we're getting it, like she said, right there in the field. It goes up to the cloud and comes back down. We can text a sufficiency, I think is the best way to say it, chart to our customers just right there in the field via if our cell services, you know, is good in that area. Otherwise we come back here and then she does it by email. But instead of you sending it to a lab and that taking 3 to 7 days, and you know, if it sits in your car for a day, how viable is that sample? So this year, I think with Leaf Tech, especially with Leaf Tech, we are double checking really everything. You know, when she says sending the samples into Leaf Tech, the soil samples, what is it showing when we're out there? And the folks from Leaf Tech are amazing. They are so passionate about sustainable farming, and you know, with all the restrictions that we're under now and only probably going to get worse and worse, his whole goal is, you know, be able to document what was needed in that plant and then be able to record what you applied, you know. So at some point we'll have a on demand pretty much test of this is what I got, this is what I applied. So that's, that's down the future and down the line, which, also wraps into what Bear's coming out with, and what we have 2 plots with this year is the Precion corn, which is our short or our smart corn system. I don't want to say short because I know a lot of people have tried that in the past and go, okay, well, that's not for us. It really is something that will be the future of, our cornfields at some point. We're going slow. I love that we're going slow because I think that's the right thing to do, making sure before we just go crazy in the market that it's doing what it needs to do, and it's, the ear's high enough so we can get underneath it. And I know we're getting kind of off subject on that, but many things going on with Bear that are amazing. So this just kind of, again, Leaf Tech, we're making sure, right, Hailey, that we're just, all of the information is, number one, accurate. And then how do we help farmers use that technology?
Yeah, we really want to make sure we're doing the science right. And then we also want to make sure that our growers are benefiting from it. And also within that, then we're being better stewards of our land and stuff as well.
So this product is 109 day. It's 209.25 Smart Stacks Pro. It is a new product for us under channel this year. I had roughly 3,000 units of it out, so over close to 10,000 acres of it in our areas that we sell around us. So all different types of soils, all different types of management. Again, was very excited about this product because when it came out, and even seeing it in the plots last year, it just was a very consistent looking product. It emerged very well. It produced well for the land, that the soil types that product was on, which again is that consistency that I look for. So I asked Hailey to maybe marker this one, since we'd been on quite a few farms looking at stand, to see what she'd come up with.
Yeah. So as far as, I was just looking at the success rate of this hybrid, and across 15 fields, again, across various management and various quality of soil, we're right about that 93% success rate. If you average it across farms, so basically we take the planted rate, and then we look at what our stand count was while we were in that field, and then we make a percentage out of that. And then I averaged all of what you see here is 1 through 15 is the percentage of field 1, field 2, field 3, etc. But the total average across those fields is a 93% success rate. And so I think that's great. What we have seen in the field, we really have not seen any like emergence issues or anything like that. Even in trashy, debris filled fields, we have seen it pop through really nicely. So
yeah, and I at a 93%, and when you look at that, you're going to go, okay, well, I wish I knew what number 7 was. But even looking at that on the dip of the chart there, you're still in that probably 85%. So when you look at it again, there's some highs and lows, but at 93% from what they planted it at to what we counted, and it's not, again, just one count, it's multiple counts. Like we try to average 1 count per 10 acre is our goal in a field. So, obviously the bigger the fields, the more the counts, but 93%, I'm very, very pleased with that. It's one of those products that no matter what the soil type, it's coming out of the ground really well. So it's good to see that. Before you talk about the other ones, it's beans that we have that are in less beans, and probably the same kind of thing is what you're going to say.
Yeah, the exact same kind of thing. And so that rate was, again, it was right around 90%. It was the average, just a little bit over across those fields. And again, we had less fields there. And it all depends too. It kind of varies as far as how many points per field were taken, as like number 7 on the corn. That was, I think, fewer points. It was early on. And things like that. So that could affect the fact that we just didn't get a wholesome view of that field because it was early on before we kind of made some standards as to how we scout. So Okay, and so the next thing I was going to talk about is some things to watch out for coming up. Specifically, weed resistance was one of them. It's something that I've noticed in the field. It's something our agronomist has noticed in the field, and I think everyone else on the scouting team has noticed, is that we are seeing a lot of water hemp species and other weeds. And so I was just going to talk a little bit about how to combat weed resistance, because like in the water hemp, we're seeing this dicampa resistance. And so therefore what you're spraying, genetically, the water hemp has a mutation that basically allowed it to be, oh, I'm okay, or this spraying treatment is not really affecting me. And so then it continues to thrive, and then it continues to spread more weeds. And so therefore, this is something that we are looking at, and you're going to have to look into. I know some products are in the making, but I'm not sure what the status of them is right now. So as far as weed management, using a diversity of weed management tactics will help you keep down on those weeds and help reduce the resistance of our weed treatments, current weed treatments now. We need to control weed escapes, managing field edges, so that way stuff from the ditches or right there along the field from where the ditch meets the field. That is really important, because seeds spread and boom, you have a problem in no time. Timely application. So I think that this kind of helps reiterate the fact that it's so important that we're in the field scouting early on, because we do get to see, oh, water hemp's popping up on this field or in this area of the field. And so therefore then the grower can target the entire field if there's a problem, or they can just manage the field, the area of the field that the water hemp was seen. And so then scouting your field 10 to 5 days after post-emergence herbicide applications is really, really important as well, just to make sure that you aren't seeing this resistance here. And then the next thing is corn rootworm. So our area is in a moderate risk right now. The rootworm egg hatch is underway, and it's peaking this week, specifically like midweek here. And so what are we doing to help here at Lammers Ag? We are going to start root digs on, I had it scheduled for us to start on Wednesday, the 18th, but with the rain and things like that, I'm just not really sure how the rest of this week's going to go. So we're going to start root digs, and then we'll float larvae for corn on corn fields will be our obvious first priority. And then we will move on to also, if anyone contacts us and has concerns, we will go to those fields as soon as possible. So that way we can get ahead of the game.
Right. And so something that we've done in the past too, that I will do again, is I will have earth optics come out and do, in the fall, we will do soil samples. So if you do feel like something's happening, or maybe you wonder how much pressure you have, even if you've not rotated, and it's been corn on corn more years than it's been beans in the middle. We certainly can do a test for you to be able to show that threshold through soil sampling as well. But the root digs are really good for us here at Lammers Ag and for our customers, because what they do is, it allows us to look at, again, the trait, how it's handling the pressure. SmartStax Pro has obviously got 3 modes. We've got our VT4 with 2 modes, and has the new RNI1 protein, and then of course our traditional SmartStax. So as they again develop, resistance to those, we like to see how it's handling the pressure, especially, we start usually on the corn on corn fields, or the ones that have been corn on corn for more than 2 or 3 years. If we, or more, those are the ones we hit first. One of the things I did notice a couple of years ago before Hailey was here is, we've had some rootworm issues in bean fields that were bean fields going to corn. And, I still believe that that's here. I think, our agronomist, Paul, if you listened to a session earlier, thinks that, hopefully this winter we got down far enough with some frost that took care of some of this, hatch this year. But, we'll see. It's always just great to see what traits are handling it, what's not, what's got a, really good root base just from the start. Right. And then kind of be able to compare again what's really a great product out there for, going into 2026. So that's how I use it. It's kind of nice to, now you kind of got, right, the scientist and data side, and then what I'd use to go to our farmers with, as well as, Hailey, to be able to talk what we can do in those situations. As we start wrapping up this mid-season, I just want to update a couple people I want to update our farmers, especially on what, we've got 19 different trials out there, I think, or more, that we're watching. So we did some on-seed treatment for corn and soybeans. We did, obviously, Pivot Bio. This is my fifth or sixth year with them. I still have a pretty decent amount of acres out there. It's a product that I really truly believe the nitrogen's there. So now it's, whether or not comparing practices, what we're still continuing to find out. But in all of those years, I've never had an issue where we were down on bushels or we were way up on bushels. We're pretty much the same. And, you can argue 9,000 different ways. Well, that's not really doing me any good. Well, then, I'm selling nitrogen. That's what I always tell my guys. I'm not selling yield on this. We're selling nitrogen that does not go away with weather, so whether or not, I always like that saying for them, the nitrogen is there. So I'm really excited to have Hailey dig more into Pivot Bio, because they're coming out with a new version, an updated microbe, I believe, in the whole launch for 2026, where they've had some testing out here in the last 2 or 3 years. So that is something that I still am passionate about partnering with, because it's not only about, the yield part of it, it's about the management part of it. And I think it's important when you talk about, especially if you've got farms that are in a lot of different areas that are, quite a few miles apart. For instance, I've got a guy that is west to east quite a bit. So on his very west and his very east fields, and those are, tend to be a little bit lighter ground. Pivot Bio is what he does for his side dressing. And, when you think about not having to bring all of your tractors, your personnel, your payroll, your gasoline, all of those other factors that we don't even necessarily think about every day, but still are a cost to that application, that has worked well for him to know that he can save time and that 40 pounds is there. So, stay tuned on Pivot. We're definitely not going away from Pivot. I think it's just, they're on the horizon. I think they were another cutting edge, partner of ours that got out right away with something different. And I still see them continuing out as a sustainable form of nitrogen in the future. So Hailey will learn more about Pivot Bio this next year, as well as myself. But we still have, a good over 3,000 acres out there, at least maybe 4 of Pivot in this area that we'll be testing with the leaf tissue. And they also come and do their own testing, Pivot does. So that's another thing. I know there's a couple other side-by-sides that we'll talk about later, but very busy here at Lammers Ag. Very happy to have Hailey here, because her and Hailey Baker, it's hard for me, Hailey Hughes, Hailey Baker, but them two work really well together. Hailey clearly made it, very clear to me from the get-go when I had met with Hailey Hughes on the first meeting. I said, what do you think? And she said, I love it. All I want to do is go get data. So, everybody that knows Hailey Baker knows that she's our data person. She is the eyes and ears out there for Lammers Ag as well. We all I added a couple more interns this year. We've got 4 trucks, sometimes 5, in a day out there. And that's really why we can talk about these things. And I'm so proud to be able to be part of a team and lead a team to be able to help our customers, because that's what it's all about here. Always has been for me, always will be, is helping our customers. So we want to talk about, speaking of customers, we want to roll into something that is pretty exciting here in our area, which is our Channel Fest coming up. So Channel Fest is a thank you appreciation to our channel growers in Iowa. And so what does that mean? That means there's 200 channel seedsmen or over 200 seedsmen in Iowa. And each one of those seedsmen are able to invite their customers to be able to attend this Channel Fest. And this year it happens to be between myself and Ryan Wubekeen, another channel dealer south of Grundy. So we are the host seed pros, just meaning that we're working with channel weekly, and it'll get more and more probably daily as we get closer to coordinate this event. So really excited to have it in our area. You know, it's going to be a little bit before it probably gets back here again, because there's a lot of the other seed pros that would like to have it in their area. So we have Easton Corbin coming in, Jared Benson's before that. And also we will have a innovation center, which we'll be putting out more information about that as well. But the event starts at 5, at 4 o'clock, you can come in and start looking around the innovation center, and that will have like our Channel Edge trailer, that will have our Viconic soybean launch trailer, that will have, I believe John Deere is going to be there with some new innovations. We've got a vendor there with some drones. We've got face painting. We've got a guy that's making personalized cowboy boots, leather boots. We've got a hat bar for guys or gals if you want to deck out a baseball cap. That'll be something you can do. So we really want to say thank you to our channel partners in Iowa, and just provide a really fun evening. Food, and I know the cattlemen, the Butler County cattlemen will be coming, and I believe it's the Tama County pork producers are going to be at that event. So that'll be, you can get a meal on channel, as well as music, and just a fun time to be able to spend together. So that's at the Grundy County Fairgrounds. You will need a wristband to attend. So that will be something that you can gain from your Channel Seed Pro anywhere across across Iowa. So like I said, it's just something that we are so happy to be able to offer our customers, and really encourage you guys to be there and just have a good time. So I wanted to just touch base on, well, what is this whole thing about? It is quite a bit of, obviously it's a lot of dollars that channel's putting in on just saying thank you, and they would do it no matter what. It just happens to be, the first one was last year, right around the Farm Progress Show in Boone. And I think they said somewhere in that, 3,000 people attended that event. So it is a fun event. There's a lot of the channel people that come from St. Louis. So they get to meet a lot of the, growers around here and just across the whole, state of Iowa. And it's fun to see all the seed pros come in with customers throughout the whole state. So just looking forward to it being a great night. And, we've planned for if it is rainy, because you never know. That's why we chose the Grundy County Fairgrounds, because that facility is just wonderfully set up for a concert. They've got an overhead pavilion, and just looking forward to that event. So wanted to just talk a little bit more about what is Channel Fest and what does it mean to us here, and just for us to say thank you to you all for being such wonderful partners with Channel in Iowa. So what else am I missing, Hailey? I mean, we're doing a lot, I kind of threw Hailey right at it. The one thing I will say about Hailey is I'm excited because she kind of takes the project and goes, and she's been calling customers and emailing customers, and if one of the girls comes back and they see something in the field that, might be in question, she gets a hold of our regional sale or technical agronomist, Paul Parcher. Paul's many, many years of knowledge. She's been learning from him, and really good things happening here at Lammers Ag. So just looking forward to be able to come back again and update you on some of these things that we're finding in the field. And stay tuned on Leaf Tech. I think we'll be doing a lot more here as we start sampling. We couldn't really start sampling until V6. So, obviously now until the end, we'll have some results for you to be able to look at. So,
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this year's consistent data collection is going to influence planting plans for next year and things like that. So I think within the next year, we're going to have we already have a lot of really good things, but we're going to have a lot of really great things coming up to help growers make the best decisions possible. So.
yes, I agree. So we want to thank you for watching, and we will keep you updated on the all of the different trials and data and things. That's just starting for us. So many exciting things, like I said, happening, and just can't wait to share with you guys, good and bad, because anybody that knows me, I don't, I'm not one to hide. If I see something I don't like, I said it on here that I wasn't really excited about my bean stand until I realized that the competitive bean stand was the same, and it ended up being a environmental issue and some crusting going on. And but until I'm out there and digging in the dirt, like I always say, I just need to see that and know that to really know that why I feel confident in channel. And that is exactly why I feel confident in channel. When I talk about consistency, is it shows up, but it's also because we show up, and being able to provide that data to our operators and our farmers is, in my mind, the most important thing we can do. So everybody have a wonderful week, and we will talk with you soon on what we come up with.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.